Welcome back to the podcast, the I Don't Want a Divorce podcast. If your marriage is in a crisis, whatever is going on to cause that crisis, my podcast is for you. If you are divorced and need to recover and get a reset in life, my podcast is for you. If you're living with an abusive spouse, this podcast is for you. And my resources found on my website, davideclarkephd.com, Clarke with an E, are for you. Again, whatever your marital crisis is, I have a book for you. Clear, biblical, effective plan of action for you. My books are not theory. They're what I find works in therapy over 35 years. Like, you can also talk to me about your crisis using my phone advice service. To buy a book, access my podcasts and videos, and check out my phone advice service, go to my website, again, davideclarkephd.com. Now, with the phone advice service, again, 70% of my practice now are these phone advice sessions. It's crazy how God works with a digital community that Duke is creative. One of my favorite son-in-laws has created for us with these podcasts, the Ask Dr. Clarke videos, the website redesign, social media. We're gathering community and getting the word out so people want to talk to me from Illinois, from Arkansas, from California, even overseas, France, Australia. Look, it doesn't make any difference. If you're in a marital crisis and you want to talk to me, you can do that with the phone advice service. It's as simple as this. If you want to talk to me, it's $200 for 45 minutes. All right. I just simply take your credit card information over the phone when you call in for your appointment. Just email me. Email me directly, davideclarkephd@gmail.com. Clarke with an E, davideclarkephd@gmail.com. We'll set the session up. We figure out the time zones. I get you in my book. And then 2 minutes before the appointment, you call in. I get your credit card information. I run it and we talk. This has been helping a lot of people. I may sell you a book, I may not, but I'll give you a clear plan of action for your crisis. Now, today's topic, how to forgive your ex for the divorce. Man, this is an important one. I have seen hundreds of ex-spouses who have talked to me on the phone, or increasingly, or in my therapy office here with a blue couch in back of me, sitting on the blue couch, who are divorced, but who have not forgiven their ex. And it haunts them every day and transfers to their new relationships, which we don't want, and their new spouse if they're remarried. Again, this information is from I Didn't Want a Divorce, all right, my divorce recovery book, most recent book. With all the pain and trauma your ex caused you, forgiving him or her is very difficult. It takes weeks, in some cases months, to forgive. You got to do the work. That's why I wrote the book. One of the reasons I wrote the book, you want to forgive everybody involved and get on with your life. That won't happen in a brief prayer. And you know what? You don't want to forgive him. I don't blame you. He's not worthy of your forgiveness. Boy, you're right. You want justice. You want him to suffer for his abusive actions, his harmful things he did to you and your kids. You know what? Perfectly normal. You don't know how to forgive him. How could you possibly forgive him? I know you don't know how. That's what I'm for. Let's take a look. And of course, the whole package you'll find in I Didn't Want a Divorce. It's very easy to get stuck in the divorce recovery process. That's why God made Christian psychologists like me. My job is to make sure you don't get stuck. Or if you're already stuck, stay stuck. One of the main ways a divorced spouse gets stuck is by not forgiving the ex. It's a classic mistake, classic issue. I shouldn't say mistake, it's just what happens so often. If you don't do the work, and it's hard work to heal and forgive your ex, a lot of bad things happen to you. Your unresolved pain and trauma remain inside of you and never go away. Literally never go away. Time will not help you if you don't do the work. You will never be released from your ex, but will remain traumatically bonded to him for the rest of your life. There will always be that unhealthy, dysfunctional trauma bond. You'll be bitter, resentful, angry, depressed, and anxious. Your unresolved pain will attack your body and cause serious physical damage. I've seen ex-spouses with all kinds of physical problems because they haven't forgiven their ex. And they're being destroyed. Once they heal, amazingly, they get better physically. Your unresolved pain and trauma will transfer to every one of your close relationships. You don't want it to, it will. Your children, your family, your new spouse, direct connection, direct transfer. Because you haven't forgiven your ex, you violate God's law. Matthew 18, 21 through 35. and you'll be estranged from him. There'll be a problem between you and God. God commands us to forgive. It isn't a suggestion or an option. Boy, it's hard to do, but you have to do it. And there's no such thing as partial forgiveness. You don't sort of forgive your ex. You either do the work and completely forgive him, or you don't do the work and you don't forgive him. I don't want all of these consequences for you, and God certainly doesn't. Okay, you've worked out your issues with God concerning the divorce. That was, if you've got the book, that was previously in the book and in a previous podcast. You've worked things out with God. You have owned responsibility for your sins in the marriage and accepted God's forgiveness. That was our previous podcast. Now, you're ready to heal from the wounds your spouse inflicted on you and forgive him. Let's do it's the same forgiveness template that's throughout the book, I Didn't Want a Divorce, and these podcasts. And these are the same steps, believe me, that I do with folks that call me on the phone and do phone advice sessions or in my therapy office. Verbal venting always comes first. Have you ever seen the operation of a fire hose? The spray of water is pressurized and intense and powerful. It takes a strong person to maintain control of the gushing torrent of water. The rush of water is necessary to put out the fire and save lives. I want you to vent like a fire hose, and I'm not kidding. Let it out. Open up the valve. No holding back, no sympathy or understanding for your ex, none. That's a way to kind of avoid facing pain, and that doesn't lead to forgiveness. If you don't fully face the pain and express it, you don't forgive. For years, you stuffed your emotions, your pain, in order to cope and survive in the marriage. You couldn't be honest with your ex about how you were really feeling because you always paid for it. About how he was hurting you time after time. He would ignore you, shut you down, talk over you, or make you suffer if you had the nerve to speak the truth, so you stopped speaking the truth. Well, it's all inside. You have a huge backlog of pain and anger and hurt and other emotions to get out of your system. As you verbally vent all the pain connected to your ex with God, your recovery coach, and your therapist, those top three, you will put out the fire inside you and save yourself. Now, this verbal venting step may take a while. It's not just a one-time shot usually. Take all the time you need. Don't rush it. The more pain you experience in your marriage and in the divorce process, the more time you'll need to vent it. I want you to open up that fire hose and get all the pain out. Talk about all the times he belittled you. He controlled you. He embarrassed you. He ignored you. He promised something and didn't come through. He lectured you. He wounded you. He turned the kids against you. He lied to you. He blamed you. He abused you. He fill in the blank. Free associate. Open up your mind and let the pain flow. From all the painful, traumatic memories, choose 6 to 8 and focus on them. This is how God works psychologically. I've seen it happen a million times, so I know it's true. You'll be talking and free associating and expressing, and what will happen is there'll be 6 to 7 to 8 categories, all right? Or actually 6 to 8 specific memories, and those will cover all the trauma that you experience. You'll talk a lot of it out, but these 6 to 8 you'll focus on. I want you to verbally describe these specific memories in detail. It could take 20 years if you described every single abusive event. You're not going to do that. You're not going to have to. 6 to 7 to 8. You'll describe what happened, when it happened, what he did and said, and the impact on you. What you are doing is reliving these 6 to 8 memories. God will make these memories again cover all the pain and trauma you experienced from your ex during the marriage and the divorce. Okay, we start after the venting, we get to the throw-up letter. You've heard this before. It's the same template. Once your verbal venting has run its course and you have talked through the painful memories, I want you to write your ex the throw-up letter. Again, you're not sending him this letter or the forgiveness letter to come. This is a one-way operation. This is release forgiveness, not reconciliation and forgiveness. You're not getting back with your spouse. If you're healing a relationship and want to reconcile, that's a different process. You'd send that letter. You're not sending this one. This will be a brutal, honest, detailed, raw, no holds barred, no compassion, and no forgiveness offered account of the 6 to 8 memories you identified in the verbal venting step. So as you verbally vent, you'll identify with your therapist's help or with the book's help 6 to 8 specific memories, all right? These are the ones you're going to cover in the throw-up letter. Okay, here's just one memory a client of mine wrote as part of her throw-up letter to her ex. I'm going to give you a taste of this. All right, Bob. It's always Bob. She's writing to Bob. Your deceptive handling of our finances. See, that's just one memory. All right. Okay, one issue, but she's going to drill down on this. And she had many more in her letter. Actually, I think 5 more in her case. But, Bob, your deceptive handling of our finances caused me terrible pain. The late payments of bills, running up the credit card balance, borrowing money from my family were bad enough. Now she zeroes in. But the capper was the big investment you made behind my back. Your friend thought it was a good idea. Well, your friend is an idiot, and so are you for listening to him. See, raw, unfiltered. They both were idiots. $75,000, that was what he invested. Oh my goodness. You did everything behind my back, she continues. No discussion. You got the loan secretly and made the investment secretly. When it failed and you lost all $75,000, you still didn't tell me. You are a liar and a deceiver and a coward. I only found out because you had to tell me. You couldn't repay the loan and you couldn't pay our other bills. I was shocked and furious. What kind of a husband would do this to his wife? I'll tell you, a stupid, selfish, greedy, foolish man. See, no filter. When she read this to me, she actually said, boy, is this too rough? I said, no, it's not too rough. It's the truth. Go with it. You're not sending it. I was hurt and sad and crushed, overwhelmed with fear about our family's security and future. I was not as angry as I should have been back then, but I am angry now as I write these words. And she was. Something about writing, that's why I make clients write, that really gets you in touch with your emotions. You not only lied to me for months about the investment, you had the nerve to blame me. You said I didn't appreciate the financial stress you were under because I didn't work and bring income into the home. We agreed I'd stay home and take care of the kids. That was our agreement. You said if we'd discussed the investment, I would have said no. Well, of course I would have said no. She says anyone with a brain would have said no. You said I wouldn't have understood the investment. What I understand, Bob, is that you cost us $75,000, you bonehead. It was you who didn't understand the investment. Bob, that night you destroyed my trust in you. You destroyed my respect for you and my love for you. To top it off, you weren't even sorry for what you did. You justified it, and you blame me. You were only sorry you got caught. You see the flavor of the throw-up letter? It is raw. Don't worry about the language. Don't worry about the pain that you're just spilling out. Yes, you can name call. You read David in the Psalms. He name called all the time. He was angry. He was surrounded by enemies. He was scared. He was questioning God. He went right after his enemies. So we have biblical company in being this honest. A lot of Christian counselors don't want you to do this because it doesn't seem Christ-like. You want to see anger? You want to see rage? Check out Jesus Christ when he spoke to the Pharisees and just laid them out, calling them hypocrites, whitewashed tombs. And when he overturned the money changers' tables in the temple. Are you kidding me? It's okay to be angry and just to dump it out. You read this completed throw-up letter to God, your recovery coach, and your therapist. Next, of course, comes the forgiveness letter. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to explain it. All right. I've got a brief section here in the book. I didn't want a divorce. Where this lady, and I just handled she's forgiving him. Frankly, she's already blown out the anger about the financial mistakes and the investment in particular. Now she's going to restate it, but she's going to forgive him. She's going to use words of forgiveness for that investment. All right. She could never forgive unless she had told him exactly what she thought about the investment and how it impacted her. You see how that works? A lot of Christian counselors and pastors want to jump that step. Well, just forgive him now. You literally cannot do that. Cannot. Unless you get to the anger and frustration and pain first. So you're gonna read the forgiveness letter. Again, it will cover all those 6 to 8 memories that you've already blown out verbally and blown out in your throw-up letter. Now you're going to include them in the forgiveness letter, but now you can use words of forgiveness. All right. And again, I'll read a little bit here at the end of her forgiveness letter. She says, with God's power, I forgive you. I release all the pain you caused me to God and leave it all in the past. This is for all, the things he did to her that she's already worked through. You will read the forgiveness letter to God, your recovery coach, and your therapist. Okay, now that you've done your work with God, yourself, and your ex, now you're prepared for the final part of the forgiveness process that I cover in I Didn't Want a Divorce. It's time to forgive everyone else who significantly harmed you in the divorce process and in your life. See, what God wants you to do in the divorce recovery process is not only heal from the divorce, all right, but to heal from every other significant pain in your life. It's your opportunity to clean everything out, to catch up, fresh start, fresh set of downs, all right, fresh, clean, blank sheet of paper as you move forward, all right, with God's power. Now, if you want to help us, the Dave Clarke PhD team, which includes me, of course, my beautiful blonde Sandy, Phil Dugas of Dugas Creative, who produces these podcasts and the YouTube videos and everything I do digitally, social media, redesign the website, and his wonderful wife, Nancy, our daughter. And I will include little Daver. He's on the team too, my 1-year-old grandson. You want to help us save marriages and help people in crisis and help people recover from divorce and get people out of abused marriages? Then subscribe to this podcast and to my YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star rating and leave a review and a comment. Boy, that'll help us. We're gaining ground. We're gaining subscribers and we're having an impact. So if you'll help us do that, we'd appreciate it. Okay? Until next time, where we'll talk about forgiving everyone in your life that's harmed you, David E. Clarke, PhD, signing off.